We have a massive Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trade update as the star has spoken out and revealed the truth on his future in Toronto, and what he has to say might surprise you, as this is very, very interesting. So I'm going to break down those comments and discuss as well Bichette, what his future could look like, because both of these players are going to be very, very big trade pieces if the Jays decide to move them going forward. Stay tuned for all that, but before we do, if you're a part of the percentage that aren't subscribed to the channel, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to myself and Peter if you could do so. We're on the road to 14,000 subscribers now. Thank you for allowing us to hit 13,000. We just did that, and yeah, thank you guys so much. But let's just dive right into it. A lot to go over today, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has made some shocking comments about his future in Toronto, and they are good. They are mostly good comments, but also a little bit scary, which you'll see and you'll understand why right now. So you can see this. This was pretty breaking news. It happened last night after the game, after the Jays lost again and lost yet another series. But he said Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the extension, trade deadline, and future with Blue Jays. Man, I don't want to leave. I want to stay here all my life, but this is business. And adds he doesn't think about the money. My time is going to come. I don't know if it's soon or not, but it's going to come. And basically, this was in response to a question of a Blue Jays reporter asking Vladdy, hey, the Jays are absolutely struggling right now. The Jays don't have any clear path to success going forward for the team and for the future. What do you think? Is your future looking like in Toronto? Do you want to stay with the team? And do you think you're going to be dealt at the trade deadline? Do you think you're going to get traded? And he said, basically, he doesn't want to get traded. He understands his business, but this is very interesting because he wants to stay here, quote, all of his life, end quote. So that's about as clear cut as Blue Jays front office and management should ever have of a player saying that he wants to stay and he wants to sign an extension. Now, what this doesn't get into is how much Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is looking to get in a contract and in a new deal, because obviously he can say he wants to stay here and he wants to be here for his whole career, but without actually going out and signing that extension, or the Blue Jays for that matter giving him that offer, who knows how much he's actually going to be wanting to get in free agency and this offseason if he ultimately gets extended. But he doesn't think about the money, and he doesn't know if it's soon, but it's going to come. And again, he's not saying that he doesn't care about the money in the contract. Just to be clear, he's saying that his time is going to come to get his money, whether that is now, whether that is in this offseason, or whether that is when he becomes a free agent after next season, an unrestricted free agent. So it's very, very interesting on that front, and about what could, the Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the star, get. And some interesting reporters have come out and said Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to want a deal to be paid as though he's among the top 3 first basemen in the game. And this was David P. Sampson on why the Jays shouldn't seek to sign Vlad to a long-term deal on the Blair and Barker show. Now, this is another interesting piece. So after this came out, basically tons of people were, this came out, him saying that he wants to stay long-term, and tons of people jumped on that bandwagon of how much are you going to give this guy? And that's the question now. So currently he's getting paid about $19 million, which is very, very interesting. And it's a very solid number for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to get. You can see here, he's getting paid $19.9 million. If you give him a $5 to $6 million raise, that would be pretty good. Like, he'd be getting $26 to $27 million a year over, say, 10 years. You're looking at low 300 millions. But the issue is, and as Peter has been adamant about on this channel, basically, do the Jays want to sign a guy for 10 years, 300 million, who is a first baseman, is okay at defense, but defensive value at first base is not what it used to be. It's never really been that valuable. And with advanced metrics and all these things happening now, do you want to tie down, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, $300 million to a first baseman? That is the question. But on the flip side, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is one of the best hitters in baseball. He's having an unbelievable season, a 140 OPS plus. He's 40% better than league average. His power is starting to slowly come back. 13 home runs, 50 RBIs, a 373 on base percentage, a good eye with a lot of walks, but only 25 years old. Like, you're looking at it and you're basically saying to yourself, hey, you're going to be getting one of the best hitters in baseball who's 25 years old for the next 10 years. And really, the Jays, whether or not they give him $300 million, they need to keep Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Because if you let Vladdy walk and you let Bo walk, then you're really just stuck with nothing. And they're not going to let both of them walk for nothing. I think the most likely outcome at this point is to trade Bichette and to keep Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But Vladdy's a guy who's been an elite hitter for most of his career, especially this season where he's putting up his best season since 2021, where he had 1,000+ OPS and would have won MVP if Shohei Ohtani wasn't in baseball and wasn't the next Babe Ruth or whatever. But 840 OPS for Vladdy. He's having a very good season. All the peripherals show that he's one of the best hitters, if not, he's a top 3, top 5 hitter in baseball peripheral wise. Obviously, he has some work to do getting the ball in the air and things like that, but He's not a great fielder. He plays first base, which is a position that has the least amount of value on the field. And it's just very, very interesting and very scary to give a first baseman that much money, because you see guys like Matt Olson, who's an unbelievable hitter, but has not gotten paid as much as Vladdy. But if you're the Jays, you really don't have a choice at this point. You need to extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. really to whatever he wants, because if you let him walk, the team is going to go in a bigger downward spiral. You sign Vladdy, you build around him, you build around Spencer Horwitz, you build around Ricky Tiedemann, all these younger players, or Elvis Martinez, hopefully, if he comes back from his PED suspension. You're looking at a very, very solid team there that you can build around, especially with the emergence of Spencer Horwitz this season and some of the young guys. But if you let him walk, then it really just kills the culture for the rest of the team. And again, Bichette as well, he's going to need an extension. He's not getting paid as much as Vladdy right now, but there's a lot of different things that are happening. But him saying that he wants to be with the team long term is very exciting and very intriguing for the Toronto Blue Jays. And this is at a time where the Jays are in a very rough spot. Obviously there's 20 games until the trade deadline. And if you see this tweet by Joshua, if the Jays go 20-0, they barely have a better win percentage than the Royals do right now at 54.5%. And if the Jays go 20-0 in the 20 games before the deadline, they'll have a 55.1%. So it's kind of, you're basically betting on the fact that the Jays are not going to make the playoffs this year. They're not going to make that third wild card spot. And is there a chance the Jays trade Bichette or Vladdy at this deadline? There's a chance. I do not see a world where Vladdy gets traded, though, especially after these comments, because these are basically saying that he wants to stay a Blue Jay for life. There's no way that he gets traded. But when you're looking at Bichette, there is a chance, and there's a world where I could see him potentially getting traded. And Bo's had a very bad season. He's been well below league average, 24% worse than league average with an OPS plus of 76. He hasn't hit for home runs. He hasn't barely got on base. He has a sub 300 on base percentage. And when you compare him to Vladdy, night and day, complete night and day for this team. And that's going to be the question mark going forward, is do the Toronto Blue Jays want to give Bichette an extension? Do they feel comfortable with that? Do they feel comfortable giving, obviously Bichette's a shortstop. He has a lot more positional value, even though he's not a very good defender, versus Vladdy, who wants to be here, had made it clear he wants to be here. Bichette hasn't, and he wants to have a future in Toronto with the Toronto Blue Jays. But obviously the money has to be right for them to do that, because Vladdy, he's probably going to want around $300 million. And I want you, if you're watching right now, to leave in the comment section, are you comfortable giving Vladimir Guerrero Jr. $300 million this offseason? Say a 10-year, $300 million deal. You'd obviously be averaging it at about $30 million a year. And you could probably get it down a little bit. If you're at 26, 27 million a year, maybe the high 200s, maybe that's a little bit more tolerable and kind of is an easier pill to swallow, more swallowable than, for example, a $300 million contract. So let us know in the comments down below. Are you fine swallowing the pill of giving a first baseman that much money, 200? Do you really want to give a first baseman $280, $290 million? That's the question, even though he is a superstar in this league and he is going to be hopefully the face of the franchise for many years going forward. But let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on that. And yeah, we'll see you soon.